I worked in the Aldi warehouse. Did I tell you about that?
I don't know if I knew
That
that,
was a
one.
sick
I feel like
job,
we need
man.
to do an episode of all the jobs you've
I
done.
had so many jobs, yeah, but the Aldi warehouse was so good, man. Like me and four of the boys that I like good friends of mine, all got this summer job at Aldi warehouse, and we would go. I think the shift started at like 6 a.m. We get paid by the hour. We're such idiots, man. We're like racing each other, but you get paid by the hour.
What do you mean race each other? Like,
because you have you get there and they give you these like dot matrix printouts of like, here's all the stores you're doing.
Dot matrix printouts. Yeah, the old school. I remember that.
Yeah, and you go and have these like forklift trucks and we're like driving around, like trying to pick all these orders for the stores. We'd like race each other around. So like you're earning as little as you possibly can and you're killing yourself in the process just so you could get out earlier and then go and spend
okay.
I think it was probably like £7 an hour, £8 an hour back then. And that was like sick money back then.
Yeah.
Like, and then I plan out everything. I'm like, I get like how many frames of pool do I get for this? How many 4 packs of Strongbow can I roll this into?
Welcome to another episode of Not Investment Advice. You got Jack Butcher, Bilal Zaidi. Tran can't make it today, but us two are going to hold it down. What's going on, Jack? What's going on your side, mate?
All is well, mate.
It's got to go off the rails. We've been sending each other memes of the week. Let's get straight into it, man.
Out of 10, men only want one thing.
5 big fuck-off bags of Chinese.
Especially fried rice, pork chow mein,
2 plain chow mein, salt and chili chips.
9 times out of 10, men only want one thing.
Incredible.
Oh my.
Incredible.
What's the guy's name?
Big John, I think.
Big John Bosch.
Legendary guy. Hope he makes it, man. He's been going for a while on this. I mean, I was telling you before we started recording, the other really good one is where there's like an attractive girl saying like, what's the sexiest accent? And then she's like, a British accent. And then it switches to this guy. He's like, Bosh, sweet and sour chow mein. Anyway, incredible guy. Well, it's actually an interesting topic because there's so many of these little micro influencer guys that are just known for this one thing. The other guy we were just talking about is Castello, also hilarious guy from the UK. And it's just like me, we've been watching his videos for several years, like know all the phrases, and you can share it with someone else and they have absolutely no idea. Like I think we shared it with Trung and Trung was like, "What? Who the hell is this guy?" And it just, there was someone else, there was a YouTuber who just hung up his boots recently. He's got like 10 million followers. I'd never seen any of his stuff. And I've just seen so many people like, oh my God, I've watched like 100 hours of this
I saw
guy's
that,
stuff.
the nature guy.
Adventure dude, innit? Yeah.
Got too famous. People were recognizing him and his kids. And he's like, peace, I'm done. Respect.
Exactly. Yeah, respect,
out.
Man.
Yeah.
Got to do it. All right, what are we talking about today, Jack? We've got a few different topics. Klarna losses have doubled in Q1 after 136 million in customer debts went unpaid. This is the meme that took over the timeline over the last week. Have you been seeing all these crazy memes? Yeah, like people.
Of course. But the burrito headline was very, very viral initially, right? Was it Chipotle that they partnered with? As people going to do
like the layaway,
in 5
burrito
payments?
Layaway.
Insane, man. You know what's interesting? Actually, there was a great tweet I sent in the group. Nick Carter, and we got a Trung plug to plug while he's away. But this is a great rebuttal to that like viral trend. It said every genius joking about burrito CDOs is forgetting that they already use debt to pay for food via a little thing called a credit card, which then rolled up into asset-backed securities. And then Trung posted this thing this morning, which I thought was pretty good, that he robbed from Reddit as usual.
Usual.
Somebody writes, I don't understand what the business model of Klarna is. Is it to dilute shareholders to subsidize financially irresponsible customers? And then somebody replies, I think they saw the tens of billions that banks make each year on overdraft fees and credit card interest, and they wanted to capitalize on people having no grasp of their finances. Another person follows up and said, capture poor people's debt that's subsidized with investor capital for a few years as a way to force your way into the global payment network space and integrations at the most important consumer points of sale. Use that access to complete a transition into a payment network operator that competes with Visa, MasterCard, and Amex, who are begging to be displaced. So very sharp commentary there on, obviously, the business plan is not to lose money on burritos for eternity.
Well, but it does beg the question, though, right? Because outside of not being profitable, I feel like they still feel like that ZERP era company,
Sure.
which was all about just like, you know, get a crazy valuation. I would actually rewind it even before the 2020, 2019 ZERP era. It's like the whole 2010s. Do you know what I mean? It was like Uber, Airbnb. Obviously, they were legitimate businesses that created a new category. But for how long was it like they're just not going to make money for a long time? Like that whole model was get users, you know, grow to a certain size, and then your valuation is going to be worth X. And then now I still think we're going to have that obviously in technology for a long time. But are you seeing that in your side as well? Like there's a bit of a shift even from the founder's side of, I don't even want to go down that VC route. Like a lot of them are just like, let me do this myself on a smaller team, test more ideas out.
There's actually a great clip I watched this morning from the guy that started Zynga. What's his name? Do you remember?
What a legend.
Obviously a massive business. And excuse me, it's basically
Mark Pincus you talking about?
Mark Pincus, yeah. So he, the headline of his talk is "All new fails." If everything new worked, we'd all be using new stuff all the time. But how often do you change what's on the front of your iPhone? How often do the top 10 or 25 apps change? And he said, like, basically for the last 8 years, that list has remained completely unchanged, which is like when you work in technology, you kind of under this assumption that, oh, you can, you know, go up against these massive monolithic companies and have a shot at replacing consumer behavior at that scale. But it's obviously the power laws working against you are significant. And in order to compete at that level, you have to do something that's like economically absurd, right? You have to like sort of manipulate the laws of physics for a period of time to get
credit
users.
For a burrito bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. Like basically lose billions of dollars giving away a product that is superior because you are fronting a good portion of the cost. Like Uber, like, oh, you can have a personal chauffeur for $10. And I think Uber is profitable now, no? It's like,
yeah, I think
has
so,
been last couple of years. And like, there is no way that if it came out of the gate with its current pricing strategy that it's gobbling up the market share that it does now, right? It's like you have to...
Yeah, it's a different phase. Like you take the market share.
Exactly. And payment companies, just the money printer that a payments company ends up becoming, even like a Stripe. If you actually look at the fees on like e-com transactions, they're doing 2.5%, 3% on every transaction that goes through Stripe. That's like, that's why people talk about Stripe as like the best business on the planet. It's just outside of like, obviously there's a lot of technology to maintain and fraud to prevent. Like the margins are just insanity. And the like once you get plugged into these big, even companies like Amazon and Apple are like, oh man, we need to get in the payments space because we're paying Stripe however much. We're paying Square or like I have some friends that run like physical businesses, like shops and cafes and stuff, and was talking to them the other week about the like point of sale stuff, like selling coffee or sandwiches or whatever. Like your margins aren't very strong, and like 3% to a payments provider is a crazy amount.
Because I think the margin is like 4 to 5% for a lot of restaurants if you're doing well.
Yeah,
like,
which is why a lot of them don't accept Amex or like some of these payments platforms that have incrementally higher fees. Payment space is crazy, and it's like hard to appreciate it, I think, before you use it as a customer, like as a B2B service, right? I think if people knew how much they're paying Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, or whoever on a per transaction basis, it's significant. It's like a huge portion of your earnings and wealth over the course of your life is just going
to fees,
to those Amex Amex executive bonuses, mate.
Wait, isn't it what Stripe's thing is like to increase the GDP of the internet? Was that what it was there?
That sounds good. That sounds right.
But I also think when Stripe started, I remember just thinking like, oh wow, they're like another payments company. Like to me, it felt so like this has happened so many times that now I notice how often I'll say it. I'm like, oh, that sounds like something like, because PayPal's been around for ages, you know, and like I remember using PayPal, like selling stuff on eBay and being like, oh, this is so easy. I just sign up with an email address, you get an email and it goes to your bank account. And I was like, man, this is why isn't everyone using PayPal? And then over time you realize, okay, obviously I'm on a small scale, and I wasn't really doing any like custom coding too much. It was just kind of like pressing a button, add to cart sort of vibe.
Right, PayPal.
And then you're thinking like, well, what are Stripe going to do differently, you know? And then obviously they did do things differently, and they like made it a lot easier for developers. And you know, how many people have you spoken to that are developers that say, oh, Stripe just made it so easy. Oh, I just type in this little snippet here and everything just works.
Crazy.
I mean, you use Stripe obviously, right, for your value stuff.
Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Incredible
but
product.
I feel like I felt that so many times. I thought e-commerce when I was doing it early in the 2000s, I was like, oh, I'm so late. When I started doing a blog, I was like, oh, everyone's just going to have a blog. Like, surely this is late. When I started doing podcast 2015, I was like, oh, that's so late. So many people are doing it. So I think that's a good lesson there. Is like, if you're listening to this pod, you're probably a little bit earlier than most people and most things.
Facts.
All right. Anyway, anything else on Klarna apart from people doing some wild? I also genuine question, like, who the hell is using Klarna for burrito bowls? Like, it seems.
Oh man, I mean, I've seen like people ridiculous. Do it. I think there's like, I think if I was like, even back in my student days, I'd been ripping that. No, like,
yeah, fair enough.
No, like I get what was it like? I'll do my paper round. I get £12 a week. You know, hit the debit card. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna split this out over 4 or 5 weeks and 0% interest.
Card, yeah. Would
no
they not
collateral.
They gotta be giving you cash for that one, yeah, in pound coins only.
No, I think I was getting.
It was in your bank account.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's mad. Wait, how old are you? Like 12 years old?
Nah. Oh, maybe it wasn't direct. It must have been cash. Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking about. I worked in the Aldi warehouse. Did I tell you about that?
I don't know if I knew that one. I feel like we need to do an episode of all the jobs you've done.
I had so many jobs, yeah. But the Aldi warehouse was so good, man. Like me and 4 of the boys that I like good friends of mine, we all got this summer job at Aldi warehouse, and we would go. I think the shift started at like 6 a.m. We get paid by the hour. We're such idiots, man. We're like racing each other, but you get paid by the hour.
What do you mean racing each other? Like,
because you have you get there and they give you these like dot matrix printouts of like, here's all the stores you're doing. And
dot
obviously,
matrix printouts.
You know, like
the old school, I remember that.
Yeah, and you go and have these like forklift trucks and we're like driving around, like trying to pick all these orders for the stores. We'd like race each other around. So like you're earning as little as you possibly can and you're killing yourself in the process just so you could get out earlier and then go and spend
okay.
I think it was probably like £7 an hour, £8 an hour back then. And that was like sick money back then.
Yeah. Because I remember like £4 or £5 an hour was like standard student job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
that's probably worth like £28.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And then I plan out everything. I'm like, I get like how many frames of pool do I get for this? How many 4 packs of Strongbow can I roll this into? And I would definitely have been hitting the Klarna layaways.
All right, fair enough. What about like, because I was talking to the uni boys about this recently. We would go to, what was it called? Like a co-op or whatever, like the local supermarket or whatever.
Yeah, you worked in co-op as well for a while.
Yeah. Oh, seriously? Jesus Christ. No, I've got to come back to that. But yeah, we would wait till like 4 p.m. just to get the 10p sandwiches. Yeah. You know, because
I get first dibs on that because I worked there. I actually used to sticker those up, mate.
Oh, seriously? All right. That's the move, because that's a pretty good, if you're a student, I mean, that's the move
incredible. You need to do. Scotch eggs. 10p Scotch eggs.
Just living off tuna mayo and Scotch eggs, man. Jesus Christmas.
The sandwiches, Scotch eggs, loaves of bread.
Just like white bread, clean.
Discounted. Yeah, exactly. Buns.
You'd be eating them all week. Yeah, hot cross bun.
Burger buns. Yeah, hot cross buns.
Simple
times, man. Good times.
That student life is different, man.
Jammy Dodgers.
Yeah, incredible things.
I used to eat a roll of like a pack of Jammy Dodgers for lunch every day when I was at school. insane, like 29p or something.
Metabolism a bit different back then, yeah.
Insane, man. What you can get away with. Loaf of bread some days, like just ridiculous stuff.
There's no MyFitnessPal vibe back then.
Yeah.
You know
What's
what I mean?
like macros? 400 grams of carbs, 0 everything else at every meal.
Talking of which, I do want to bring something call back to what you said earlier to bring it back on topic here. You said about the change of user behavior, like what you've got on your home screen. So I'm actually just curious about mine real quick. If you look at yours, just looking at what's on my home screen, has it really changed in like 10 years? Apart from maybe ChatGPT, I'm looking here, maybe the podcast app changed. Pretty much everything else is the same. And to make it there on that home screen is a big deal. You know what I mean?
Oh, crazy real estate, man. Mine is actually not the same, but it's like all very
what's been new?
Stuff.
What's new in there that
Discord
made it? Oh my God. You're
Mercury
down
I
your home
use
screen.
That's on my home screen, yeah. Mercury I
respect.
use for a bank.
Okay.
ChatGPT X, which you could argue is still there. And then I have like 2 of the VV apps and a big widget, the big VV widget.
What's the widget? Just of your... Oh, nice. Wait, I can't see. Go back a little bit. Oh, killing it. Okay, nice. Yeah, so my one is pretty much MyFitnessPal, Snipped, which is my podcast player, YouTube, Evernote, like normal messages, Google Maps. And then on the second, one thing I will say, MyFitnessPal, I tried to put like healthier, like things that I want to encourage myself to do. Like on my iPad, I don't have any social media. I just have like reading or like, I do watch films on there as well. And I tried to put all the social stuff like way further away just to, because we're all addicted to it. Obviously.
Good idea.
The one I will say, like MyFitnessPal I've used for so many years, but I tried Cal AI. You know that guy on, have you seen that 18, 19-year-old? Yeah, like calorie AI, basically.
Oh, no, I haven't seen
I think this kid, he's like 18, 19 years old. He's built to like 10 million a year business. Like he's one of these AI, it's an AI rapper essentially. And you take a picture of the food instead of logging it. And I was just checking it out yesterday to try it out. It's pretty good. I was actually really surprised because I still will use MyFitnessPal because I've used it for so many years. It's a little bit more accurate. But the fact that you can just take a picture of something and it's pretty accurate, like the
really?
ChatGPT,
that's cool.
Like the
image recognition is stupidly good now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Incredible.
Do you know what I do? I put like today I had lunch like a little chicken shawarma bowl, yeah.
Nice, yeah.
And I put a little can of Diet Coke or whatever next to it, so it gets the scale. And I was just testing back and forth with ChatGPT recently, and it's pretty incredible, man, how quickly it's getting.
I have to have a look at that. Better. I think MyFitnessPal, great business, shit product, yeah,
terrible
app. There's a good one that's like the same sort of interface, but it's like 50 times better experience, called Lose It. You ever heard of that?
I think I've heard of that, but I don't know.
An orange scale is the app. It's good. Like if you're trying to hit the manual situation, that's a good one.
Little macro
I'll try
piece.
this little AI.
No, the AI one's pretty good. You have to pay for it after a few days, but it's
take photos of my jammy Dodgers.
Yeah. I will say, do you know what I would use it for? If I was on like a more chill maintenance mode, just like, trying to be aware of what's going on, that would work perfectly well.
Yeah, nice.
Whereas for me right now, it's like I'm trying to be a little bit more dialed in, so you've got to do the old way. Anyway, let's get back. But that was interesting, little tangent there. What gets on the home screen. Let's also talk about Perplexity. Perplexity, kind of in the same theme of companies that are doing wild stuff. What was the Perplexity thing again? I shared it in the group chat. They were talking about their server charges as R&D or something. Do you remember this?
Incredible. What was it?
This is like community adjusted EBITDA vibe, right?
Zurich accounting. Incredible.
No, but here we go.
Here it is. You got it? I got it.
Perplexity's financials, user metric, M&A more. They generated 34 million revenue last year, but it burned about 65 million in cash. It spent heavily on cloud servers and AI model, which is kind of understandable. Have you used their product much?
No, I've done it a couple of times, and I've seen people like rave about it, but for whatever reason, I don't really understand the distinction. When people are like, oh, it's like a search engine. It's like they're all like search engines at this point now. So I don't know. It never caught me in that way. I still use the same stack I've been using. I haven't felt like anything's missing. But I think maybe like the financial queries are like stuff that is really real-time data. I think that has pulled in a good amount of...
But it feels like they're still pulling it in from Anthropic, like Claude and ChatGPT and OpenAI, sorry. So
their models are...
I think so.
They're running on different models. I have no idea.
I think they've got both coming in. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong on that one. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, my thing with them, honestly, and I hope they make it work, but for a while it's been feeling like I watched this one interview with the founder one time. Again, I'm sure he's an incredibly smart guy, but it was, maybe I mentioned this before, but he was talking about Google AdWords. And I think didn't he come from Google? I'm pretty sure he has a background. What's this? Arvin something, Perplexity founder. Let me just pull this up. And I remember him talking about like bidding on AdWords, like, and that's like when I think that's his whole business. So I was you wouldn't normally say, I wouldn't expect most people to know that, but you bid on keywords, and it used to be called AdWords. So it's like one of those, like, you might have worked in it in the past, or you've, got a little background. Donaire vibe. Yeah. Let me look, here's his, I'm pretty sure it was at Google, right? So, but he was research intern 2020. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, I hope it works out for them. But there was a couple of those little snippets where I'm like, okay, he could be really good at selling this vision, but maybe they'll make it work out in the long run. But yeah, I guess the question here on Perplexity is just the wider frothiness of the market, because I feel like we're both seeing, we just talked about AI actually being a legit, real value adding thing in the Cal AI context, or ChatGPT. We've done a few episodes, obviously, how we're using it next level. Like, I'm using it maybe 5 times more than 2 months ago. Like, I'm using it all day. Like, it's incredible. Yeah. But it feels like there's these base models, the foundational models, and then you're seeing a few really good, like, verticalized, like, apps. Like the Cal AI is a great example. Like, I can send a picture to OpenAI and get it back and going back and forth, but the fact they've made like a clean interface where I just press a button and it logs it the way I'm used to in my fitness pal, that is value add, and I'd happily pay for that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's also these other ones which are just going hard on raising crazy money. And I feel like what we just saw in Klarna, we might see that in 2-3 years. Some of these companies, like, they raised that X $billion valuation and now they're worth like not much.
Yeah, this is like the Chat GPT wrapper argument, like the GPT wrapper argument, right? Is where it's like you can build incredible front end and you can acquire users based on how specific the front end is. You're still using you're paying AWS for compute, and you're paying OpenAI for the API calls if you're using, if you're plugging into somebody else's models. And then your moat is like how you position the experience on the front end. Yeah. Very similar to
and distribution, yeah.
Yeah, very similar, exactly. Distribution, and very similar to the old app store days, right? Where the password manager, the Apple keynote comes out. It's like, we're introducing this feature because you hit critical mass with 50 million people using this third party.
Not one password or whatever it was.
Yeah. Maybe you end up like exiting to the incumbent, or maybe they just swipe it out from underneath you. I don't know. It's I think I saw something come out from is Gary Tan at Y Combinator? Yeah, right?
Yeah, he's head of it, yeah.
Yeah. Like interview where he's talking with someone about, the old playbook is get people to buy the
lean
product.
startup clip, yeah?
Yeah. So
I think I've got it. I'm looking at my saved Is it this guy? Sorry, God, you can just summarize it if you remember. But
I think it's interesting. It's like the same, like, this guy, nothing ever happens vibe. It's like everybody saying the whole playbook has changed, and we don't like. Now you can make 50 different apps in a day, and then you don't have to like tell anybody what it's about. They'll just start using it. It's like there's some degree of truth to the fact that you can move faster and your skills are augmented by this stuff. There's no doubt about that. But it's also like everybody else has that same advantage in your position. So you don't have an edge. Like if someone has $20 a month, you're in the same position as them. It goes back to what we were talking about last week, where it's like, it is about how you communicate. It is about how you design the product. It's like maybe distribution is the only difference at this point, like far more than it was previously, where if you have great distribution, maybe you can get away with like a bit of a shoddier product. I think it's still true. Like distribution, this is a completely, I can't remember if we talked about this with the episode you were on or last week with Trung. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? I forget.
Been 2 weeks ago, yeah.
You know, like streamers will say, what do you think of this, chat? Or like, chat, what shall I do?
Oh, yeah.
It just occurred to me this morning that's like, doesn't OpenAI own chat.com?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So it's like this entire generation's like vocabulary around the word chat is basically like, how do I put out a request to this cumulative set of like basically a sounding board, right? Not really connected to what I was saying before, but I think like their moat is even like the distribution around their brand is going to be huge for that reason. Like, oh, did you ask Claude? It's not gonna ring off the same way, I don't think.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. No, I agree with what you said. I think the summary from me is that it definitely is easier to make stuff. But like you said, that means everyone else has the same tools. But there's lots of people who just will never make stuff. So that you are at an advantage compared to a few years ago.
Yeah. I'm talking about your peers in terms of skill sets or ambition.
Yeah, you're still competing with those people, exactly. And then outside of that, I do think the distribution obviously is really important. You know, not just important. It's like maybe the most important thing. It's as important as making something really useful and really great experience. I think the Cal AI one is really a great example. If you just because it's like top of mind because we talked about it. Mm-hmm. Like that kid, not only did they make actually a really good product, like they kind of put together something that was like very much MVP style, you know, minimal viable product originally. But now they're like a legit company with, I forgot how many, 20, 30 employees, maybe even more. They're hiring like a lead engineer. I saw him post today, like 150 grand a year, nice. You know, like engineering jobs, like they're a legit business. But when people say distribution, just to get more specific, I think a lot of people in our world will be like, yeah, that means you need to build an audience and you need to be kind of like a little influencer. And I don't think that's necessarily what I'm saying. That can be one way of doing it. Right, like if you're Trung and you've got barely AI, that's like very specific example. Other people have done stuff like that. I'm just talking about getting to the right people. So that could be what they've done is they've really leaned into short form video, kind of like what any business should be doing nowadays, like leaning into short form video, getting really good at that content muscle. And then they're really good. I think they run a lot of ads as well, right? So they kind of pair the content brain working with micro influencers on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, etc. And then what's working, they like supercharge it with ads, which is way more targeted than just like, some random follower who's likes your visualized value stuff or Trunk's writing, for example. Yeah. Like it's specifically people who are into fitness, into that sort of stuff. So I think that's really what's been really cool to see. That kid, I keep calling him a kid, you know, he's like 18, probably 19, right. Whatever. But just that incredible execution, like, and the way he's been going viral on Twitter recently. He's the same guy that was talking about not getting into the Ivy League schools. Do you remember that?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah,
that guy. Yeah. I heard him on a few pods. He was pretty smart.
I think I maybe even contradict myself. Is like the difference in two people using quote unquote AI can be so massively, ridiculously different, right? Where like maybe someone's using it to like write captions for the old school version of a content marketing strategy, right? Like you're augmenting one part of the process with this thing and maybe you're saving yourself an hour a week. Or you're like, I'm going to send this thing off to do deep research on all my competitors and compile these things into templates and like spin off all these ideas for targeting, and then I'm going to automate the posting of it. And like the degree to which it can save you time, like maybe I am underestimating it in that respect, where it's like if you truly use that platform natively, it's like it's the reason a $30 million company can run with 30 people instead of 300, right? And I think like that versus the approach where people like try and retroactively integrate AI into their process it's like anything, right? It's like the incumbent cycle where it's like, here's this new trend that we need to start using versus here are these kids that literally think in this medium. Like they would never start a company without like 90% of the workflow being automated this way, whereas someone's instinct that's 10 years older than them is like, I need this kind of person and that kind of person.
Or I need a business plan and I need to hire. Exactly. And I'm seeing that even hearing, that's why I know I keep coming back to this one example. It's just top of mind because I was just using it and listened to the guy. Like when you hear them talk about what they're doing to build this stuff, like he basically taught himself to code, like from school. He was already proficient, but then he was using all these tools, Cursor, like all the kind of smart coding tools, the AI tools, just to get to the MVP, and then was able to get it out there, develop a front end, all that sort of stuff. But now when you hear them talk about, if they were starting again, they're all talking about, well, the first thing I'm doing is creating a content strategy, essentially, right? Maybe he didn't use that phrase, but he's like, what is working on TikTok already? Because he knows that's where the virality of the internet is, right? That style, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube now, but it starts on kind of TikTok for consumer stuff. Obviously, if you're in our world, it's a little bit different, but just say you're making a fitness app, you're going to be on there, right? If you're making a CPG brand selling gummies for creatine, you're going to be on these platforms as well. So yeah, I think that's really smart because, there's like translating like that Gary Tan video you just talked about. Gary's obviously a really smart guy, has access to like the craziest deal flow. But that is like one way of doing it, like the old YC model of lean startup method. We all read the books and, raise a little bit of money, prove it out, get to Series A, keep doing that. And I just think there's this new generation, which is really incredible to see, like how quickly they're executing. And so I do think it's a little bit of both. Like if you've got the idea, you can build an MVP really quickly. And it means you can follow that same methodology. It means you can get it in front of customers faster and get them playing around with it than you could before, where you were like actually building MVP, working with a developer if you're not one, getting to that, putting on App Store and like figuring out. Now you can vibe code it on Replit or whatever you're using and like demonstrate instead of just a wireframe. Be like, oh, this is an idea I had. Just like tell me what you think of this, give me feedback on it. So it is pretty incredible just how like quickly it's moving in that way.
Yeah, have you heard of this? This is like a tangential thing. Believe app. Have you heard of this? Have you seen it anywhere?
No, what's that one?
It's basically like a meme coin and app launchpad. So people are launching these like so you say the
Is
Cal
this spelled
AI
different
thing.
to that normal Believe? Is it like one
No.
funny
Let me go on Twitter or on X. It's Launch Coin is the name of the Believe app. Sorry, is the.
Oh, okay. Believe app. It's like green logo, yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
Believe in something. Okay, Launch Coin.
So this is like, maybe a different end of the spectrum, but people using the captive attention of, and this is not an endorsement from me, this is a behavior I've witnessed, because we've talked about this like even years back. It's like you can get attention from people in crypto, but that comes with a certain amount of exposure to downside, shall we say, in many different ways. But this is like, how do you bootstrap attention? You launch an MVP, maybe there's a integration with that currency in the app itself. So you hold a certain amount of it. You can there are in-app purchases that are tied to the currency that launches alongside it. And what I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is basically these apps that maybe wouldn't have any way of getting traction outside of existing on a launch pad like this. And maybe this is just, speed running the inevitable demise anyway. But they get this massive amount of concentrated attention when they launch meme coin alongside these products. And then the goal is to obviously retain the people that use it because they found it through that mechanism. But it feels like because the rate of development is getting so compressed so significantly, you could get to this MVP really quickly. The differentiator becomes like, okay, how do you do distribution smartly? And this is like a symptom, I think, that's popped up from how much easier it is to get to that usable MVP. But what you're describing with the Cal AI thing is like, how do you beat the people that are already competing in this world at their own game using AI as like a way to make you hyper competitive on these existing platforms? And sounds like these guys are crushing it with that. And that, like,
yeah,
the moat for something like that is pretty special too, right? It's like, oh, if this thing functions as a way to track this thing I really care about, which is my health.
Habit tracking, literally, right. And
you lose all of that if you hop over, and it's like, if it's a good product and it's like reasonably priced, why wouldn't that have a huge runway? Incredible.
I think one thing I noticed on it is I think it's like $30 a year. It's like 3-day free trial, $29.99 per year. But then straight away there was like an upsell, like a roulette. You know, it must have got some. This must be like some equivalent of a Shopify template or like a.
I know what you're talking about, like the email thing.
Yeah, like an email thing. But it's like straight away, it's like giving you a massive discount. And it was like, I hadn't even tried the product yet, and it was like $12 for the year. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty. I mean, it's a good deal. Obviously, the anchoring of $29.99 straight away. I was like, well, I need to kind of test it out first. And especially because I already use something else. I was really just doing it kind of for research. So I didn't actually fall for the trick. But if this was the first time I was trying to use like a calorie tracking app or macro tracking app, I probably would have just bought it straight up. I'm like, oh my God, $12 versus $29 of, the standard deal vibe. But I completely agree, man. I'm all for rappers essentially. That's the summary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
GPT
I mean,
rapper,
everything is a rapper. We could have a
rappers,
philosophical conversation.
That's true.
About this.
Well, let's go for it.
All technology products are rappers.
Is a rapper,
of all of these,
Everything's an AWS
open source
rapper.
Technology. Yeah, it's all an API call on something, right?
It easily is. No, but that's a good point. I mean, you can extrapolate that beyond even technology, right? It's like we are all rappers of something else too.
We get deep.
We are downstream.
Let me get a quote pulled up here from friend of the pod that I'll have to invite on, Brian Norgard, who's the Chief Product Officer at Tinder. He wrote this yesterday. I thought it was really good. He said, the biggest mistake I've made building products was adding more when I wasn't sure what to do. It only convoluted the story and pushed me further from the truth. When in doubt, slow down, recommit to the singular promise. It was great. That's a great tweet. Yeah. Like, especially now.
Say that last line again. Recommit to the
singular promise.
That sounds like a visualized value illustration.
Yeah, really strong advice, I think. And especially given how easy it is to like elaborate on stuff now, right? Like maybe building a feature 5 years ago will be like, oh, we have to plan this out, do all the tracks of work, commit all the resources to getting it done. Now it's like very easy to overcook something because the tools are so powerful that, searching for the killer feature, the singular promise, like that's the hard work. And then positioning that and distributing that and delivering on it is the that's the actual work that follows getting any kind of traction or product market fit. So
yeah,
fun times, man. It's fun times to be working on this kind of stuff because
it's incredible.
Run really quickly with it.
Oh, it's incredible, man. Oh, by the way, because I didn't get to finish the episode with you and Jack. Did you guys talk about your app stuff already?
What app stuff? Oh, the VV app stuff. We'll have to do that next week.
Okay, cool.
I have more.
I want to hear what that experience been like because you've been doing some cool stuff there as well.
Yeah, it'll be good to talk about.
Talking app stuff, do we want to talk about this 2 million swipe guy? And you just mentioned Tinder there. Do you want to cover this? Should we talk about it?
Mate, why not?
Let's pull it up.
This post went viral.
Pulling it up. Here we go. This guy, 5 years on Tinder and swipe right 2 million times.
If you want power laws in the power law debate in one image, here it is.
Go on. Let's. So this tweet says 5 years on Tinder, swipe right 2 million times and got 1 day. It's time to Thailand max, bro. Here's the little flow chart. Oh, I mean, it's not the best view here, but yeah, on the left hand side, it shows like a little funnel essentially. You swipe 2 million times, goes all the way down to matches, 2,000 matches, chats, 1,200, one date.
But one of the good call outs was like his drop off rate is abysmal here. Like his conversion rate on the chats is terrible.
I hate that my brain went to digital marketing mode because this is like impressions.
Well, that's
clicks.
what it is, mate. That's
it
all it
basically
is.
Yeah.
He's not optimizing the funnel.
The conversion rate. You need some conversion rate optimization here, bro.
Man,
what's
he's
going
got
on?
to get on that. Yeah.
The creative needs some work up here on the top,
exactly.
and then we got some. You know what I mean? All right, well, I'm not picking on the guy because, I don't know what's going on in his life. But what was the picture? There was a picture of his hoodie.
There was the one. He's wearing a hoodie. It says "Sit on my face." It's not going to help that's not good creative, is it?
And also, because obviously we've been out the game from these apps for a long time. But is this a real interface that you get in Tinder nowadays? Is this like analytics?
It is, yeah.
Or is it like API custom?
I mean, 5 years, it looks like 93. Your Tinder Insider. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't give this away. I don't know, because like maybe you wouldn't want to show that in your product if he's paying for it. Like your, success rate is so diabolical. But yeah, there's loads of great. Actually, is doing the rounds on this. Scott Galloway. Maybe
I was just about to bring up a stat he taught. I've literally copied and pasted it.
Really? Yeah. He's like on tour doing like the digitization of romance and its effects on different generations and just like demographics in general.
And specifically men for him because he's got 3 boys, so he's talking a lot.
And
about
just
that.
Man, it even goes back to the stuff that I was personally obsessed with when we started this podcast, just like the technology and its effects on distribution. You remember the best person in the world at something gets to do it for everyone.
Oh yeah.
And if you extrapolate that out to all of this stuff, it's like there's the top 1% of people on Tinder are getting 99% of the attention.
Well, specifically for men as well, right? Because I think the distribution is more spread for women.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, more guys will spread.
We got to get a manosphere segment up.
There we go. Exactly. Yeah. No, but I think
get
the
your
number
shirt
is
off,
like
Bilal, and we'll start. Get a hooker pipe
get it out for the lads.
That.
But
exactly.
No, I forgot the number. I think I'd saved it somewhere in here. But people get the idea, right? Like, we've all been there on the dating apps or like seen friends just at the bar, like going like this, right? Like making it rain with swipes, basically, right? They're not even looking half the time.
Yeah.
This is guys a lot of the time. And then what it does, there's this thing about how they're monetizing both sides, which is quite interesting. So the guys are obviously monetizing with premium. They're just trying to, get
as many numbers game.
Numbers game, exactly, standard. And then what happens for women, apparently what's happening is that their expectations is obviously changing because you're obviously seeing all the guys and you're going to basically be able to filter for stuff like height. And so like there's these videos that go viral of people, talking to someone on the street and saying like, tell me the criteria of a guy that you're looking for, like 6 foot, earns 100K, like, all these things. And then it ends up being like, oh, that's 1.2% of the population sort of thing. And so, yeah, it's quite interesting. Again, definitely don't want to be on a manosphere episode here, but just it is a very interesting idea.
It's a huge, it's going to have far-reaching consequences in general. And like, I don't think it's good for anyone. You could obviously complain about it from the perspective of like being statistically at the mercy of it, but everybody's losing, man. Like everybody's losing in this situation.
It depends who you're asking, I guess. But no, I mean,
I'm saying civilizationally on a long time frame. Obviously,
100%.
There's some people that are enjoying
cleaning up.
Exactly. But
no, I get what you're saying.
Second and third order effects of such a system are yet to be felt, or maybe just beginning to be felt right now.
No,
right?
that's a good point.
There's people who maybe spent their prime years on both sides of, men and women both spent their prime years in these systems that are now like, oh man, maybe I should have made a different decision at the very beginning. And those are things that you can't reverse, like you can't take back and change, right?
One-way door.
Time. Exactly.
But wait, so the stat that Galloway mentioned that I thought was quite interesting. He said, apparently 51% of men aged 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in person.
Insane.
Which is pretty mad, isn't it? I mean,
Insane.
24.
And like,
I'm trying
there's
to
a
be,
good there's an
go
even
on.
bigger, like a good chunk of that is like have never spoken to him. Not
Spoken
even like
even just-
asked, not even like been, you know, forward, if you want to call that forward, but like
That's pretty
crazy.
mad, isn't it? 51.
crazy.
If you said like, I mean, I will say, 24. I'm just trying to think what's interesting here is there's no context. So I'm curious what this number would have been like when we were at school or that age.
Yeah.
I bet it was lower, obviously, right? But because
Yeah,
it
maybe
wasn't,
not by a massive amount, but
maybe it's just
like,
the distribution of people in general. It's like there's shy people, there's people who don't have, haven't got to that stage yet. I will say 24 is an interesting number too, because I wonder if you cut it to like 28 or 30, I bet that goes down significantly.
Well, you know what else I think is interesting is like the hyper connected is like the ramifications of like everything you do being networked socially. It's like I wouldn't want to be doing what I was doing in Walkabout if everybody had phones on them 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
20 years ago at this point. Like, it's a
So
crazy...
what's Walkabout for people who don't know what that is?
Oh, it's like what is it? It's an Australian, it's like an English Australian bar, nightclub, just like shit fest
Sean
of
Paul
an
playing
establishment.
out loud.
Exactly.
Little Dutty wine going on.
Like, yeah. Mate,
Good times,
I could
though,
probably
yeah.
recite a good portion of the standard playlist from Walkabout. But it, like, just basically your hesitation to do anything that might be socially embarrassing has gone up exponentially.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
that's
you're
a good
caught on
point.
camera, right? And like everybody communicates about, whatever social faux pas has been made. And like existing outside of that is incredible. Like you have an incredibly different experience of life than somebody who is like tied in that thing. I can't imagine even being at school now with like literally people have like numeric scores of their popularity mapped while they're going through school.
That's
like,
true. That's a good point.
whatever platform it has, like how many people follow you, how many people liked your last post, how many people watch this. It's like the best gift you could ever give a kid now, I think, is like, don't participate in that. Like there's nothing but downside for you in that environment.
You're right.
Like professionally, there's a lot to be gained from having infinite distribution, but like as a barometer for your life, when you have nothing for sale, it's a complete one-sided, like all downside game. And maybe feels like the opposite too. It's like, that's the most insidious thing about it, right? It's like you're sort of in pursuit of acceptance and connection, and the vast majority of your experience with it gives you the opposite. Because even like before you're at Tinder age, the same dynamics exist, just in a different context of like social acceptance, who's popular, who isn't, who.
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
it became more what's the word? More extreme, basically, right? So it's like these dynamics have been there before, but yeah, this is now on a scale of thousands of people or tens of thousands of people in that network. Like for me, like I'm thinking of university, it was so I went to uni until 2009, so it was like right in the Facebook era, you were the same, right? So it was Facebook was
photos
just
a night you're uploading.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was like people putting albums up of a night out. The only people on Facebook at the time were your uni friends. So it was like a yearbook, or not a yearbook, like a weekly documentary of what was going on. The night out, people posting pictures, falling on the floor and doing all sorts of stuff. And then, there was that next wave of then family members start adding you, or like your parents add you, and you're like, oh man, this is like a different,
Dial it
now you're not.
back.
Exactly, yeah. And then they added the timeline and people could click way back. And that was, these little design decisions made such a big difference. Now, obviously, like none of us are really using it at our age, or hardly using it. But it's just, that even then there was that element of like someone sneaking out a digital camera and like taking a picture that looks a bit iffy, and like trying to get people in trouble, that sort of vibe. Now it's everyone's got a phone that, can instantly stream what's going on. Like it's people are obviously taking pictures back then. It wasn't like we weren't all snapping, but I just sound so old saying snapping, by the way. I don't think I've ever said the word snapping.
Plugging a USB cable in to upload your pictures.
Oh my God.
Man.
Oh, that was incredible. Have you noticed that Gen Z or like younger like kids are now using digital cameras again?
Yeah.
It's pretty
especially
interesting.
the film aesthetic too. It is like a little nostalgia. I wonder what the equivalent was for us back then. I don't know if we really went for it in the same way.
I guess some people were doing the what's it called, Polaroid vibe, like just even now people are doing
Instagram. That was the first actual like set of visual filters on Instagram, wasn't it? Like
like actual Polaroid. But I mean like frame. An actual physical Polaroid. Like we've been using it here because it's actually interesting. It sounds like some hipster shit to do, but if you have 10 pictures to take in your camera reel that day, like you actually are quite intentional about it. Anyway, one last thing I'll mention from Scott Galloway that I heard him say. He said, if a man hasn't cohabitated or been married by the time he's in his 30, but by the time he's 30, there's 1 in 3 chance he's going to have a substance abuse problem. Again, I do also think that's a little correlation versus causation thing here, but still, that's a lot, you know. Because you could argue that again without the context, who knows how many men already
chicken or egg type situation.
Yeah, chicken or egg. Like maybe you're going to have a substance use problem already, and it makes it worse, or you just happen to be in that group, or you're less likely to be someone in a long-term relationship because you struggle with something. So I don't think it's completely just like one way, but
not great though.
Not looking good, bruv, as they say. You know what I mean? That was really good chat, Jack. Thanks for coming on. We will have hopefully Trung back next week. We got there was an AMA question that was quite a long one, so maybe we'll save that for when Trung is back and next week. And we didn't get to the Democrat Joe Rogan thing. Maybe we can save that for another week as well. But yeah, good chat, Jack.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. We'll do because Trung's media cabal insights he can drop on us.
Letter J journalist there.
Exactly, mate. Trung, the new media
guy. All right, everyone. Thanks again for being here. Hope you enjoyed that one. I will see you guys next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Peace.